Osho was a cool guy, that's for sure. But like every big personality, he had his flaws. And I believe that he was a genius in his way. Was he enlightened or not? I don't know. Some say he was a fraud. Some claim that he was truly a Buddha. I don't know. It depends. But because with these gurus, they always say that I cannot help you, or I'm not ideal. Don't put me on a pedestal, and so forth. So it's difficult to find a weak point in their philosophy. Not because there are none, but because they state that they don't care about it and that life is full of surprises and sometimes you have to accept contradiction. And Rajneesh was no exception. I think he had glimpses of no mind, but I also don't believe when he says that after he got enlightened, he never reversed, which is very difficult. And to most of us, we kind of, from time to time, go back to caring about what society might think of us because it's ingrained in our DNA. Maybe some extremely rare individuals can ignore that completely and without going back to the past ways, but it's not the case for most people. So I'm a little bit skeptical when it comes to that, but it doesn't matter. He had an exceptional charm, and he used to talk fluently in English, and his vocabulary was amazing. I don't put his philosophical insight on the same grounds with the likes of Nietzsche or Schopenhauer, but he definitely had talent and literary talent, not in the last place. Because with these Eastern ideas, most of them are derivative and they preach to stay in the present moment and that everything is futile and that there is no point in pursuing anything in this life because we will all turn to dust sooner or later, and we should try to learn how not to be fooled by the veil of Maya, which spins a lot of illusions around us and make us chasing something that in reality is deep within us. And he didn't have anything new in this regard, but his ability to enunciate was extraordinary, and he was able to explain things in a very funny way and very expressive, beautiful, poetic. Even if we doubt his death of the ego, and his philosophy, you can still appreciate his incredible literary capacity. I mean, he dictated most of his, I mean, all of his books. Of course, they have the flaws that comes with improvising and coming with things in a spontaneous way, and the repetitions that this way of speaking entails. But still, he's impressive. Like his one of his last books, which I think is my favorite, like the Book of Life and Death, is also a product of his speeches that he gave to his followers. It's difficult actually to pin down such a huge personality, and I believe that comes from the fact that we tend to idealize and to see things in black and white, even if he wasn't the way he claimed, and that actually there was some ego at play, which is natural. We still cannot deny his introspective capacity and his introspective powers. So, following also one of his principles, we should show him some compassion because he was human after all, and perhaps he got a, he was attracted by the lure of money and luxury. Of course, he didn't possess anything, but he was rejoicing in his followers' goods. He was very clever, and I don't doubt that he was able to manipulate people. But that can also go in a good way. And I believe that he used this ability for good most of the time. And it is absurd to judge him via Christian morals. Like, for let's say, to criticize him that he used to have sex with his followers' girlfriends or wives. I mean, he never pretended to be a saint or a martyr. So it was in the vein of his philosophy. Don't control sex, you have to satisfy it. So he did that, and he never was ashamed of it. Sex was not taboo for him. So it doesn't make sense to be disappointed that he did that. Actually, he never went against his principles because he stated that he doesn't have predetermined rules, and that he might be a lion at times and also sheep, according to the situation. So you can't uh, hold that against him, and you can't make him accountable for his contradictions, which he masterfully incorporated in his discourses, to which he didn't give too much attention anyway, and which were transformed in books after the fact by his followers. Anyway, it's I believe the truth is in the middle, and that he was an exceptional human being, perhaps not enlightened. I don't know. Actually, that's a very tricky term, but it is he undoubtedly was a force of nature, so to speak, who had an out of this world knack for words, and he was also able to make funny jokes, and I believe that he has achieved some stages of spiritual enlightenment, but that he at some times in his life got pulled in by the world and its egotistic values, and we have to accept it. But that doesn't deny the huge stature of his life, let's say, because he didn't plan to have or to leave behind him a body of work. So yeah, I liked him overall. He helped me during one of the harshest times of my life, and I was influenced by him in a lot of ways, not only by his philosophical ideas, but also by his vocabulary. And yeah, that's it. It's I believe that I will finish this by saying that nobody is perfect, and when we tend to transform human beings in ideas, they always disappoint us, and it's actually our fault that we are let down, because we shouldn't have raised those expectations in the first place. So yeah, namaste.